A. V. Valentine. A valentine is a special card you send to someone on Valentine's Day to say, I love you.
Linus, I made you a special valentine.
Vase. A vase is a tall container for holding flowers and water. We have a beautiful vase of flowers in our living room.
Vegetable. A vegetable is a plant or part of a plant that you can eat.
Eat your vegetables, Chuck. Video camera. A video camera is a camera that records moving pictures on tape.
My dog uses a video camera to make videotapes of all his old supper dishes.
Violin. A violin is a wooden musical instrument with 4 strings that is played by moving a bow across the strings.
I love the sound of a violin.
Visit. To visit means to go somewhere to spend time with someone. You can also visit a place.
Snoopy's brothers came to visit him when he was sick. Voice. Your voice is the sound you make when you talk, sing, and shout. Patty has a very loud voice and a very big mouth.
Volcano. A volcano is a kind of mountain. Sometimes melted rocks shoot out from the top.
Never stand too close to the edge of a volcano.
Volleyball. Volleyball is a game in which teams of players use their hands to hit a ball back and forth over a net.
Sally is learning how to play volleyball.
Vulture. A vulture is a large bird with a bald head. Vultures eat the bodies of dead animals.
Sometimes my dog pretends to be a vulture and sits high in a tree.
Wait.
Are you sure you want to quit?
Pencil, you're here. Now let's go super fast. Don't call me needy!
I see!
Seriously?
Wow, Needle! She's such a fast runner!
Yeah!
No!
Leafy! What's happened? You've become evil!
Wow!
Don't call me needy!
Outstanding. Sub-Zero. Choose your destiny. Round one, fight! Wins. Flawless victory. Round two, fight! reality.
Eurocom Developments Limited Entertainment Software Games. Electronic fun for everyone.
The crushing pound of the mallet. The shattering blow of the club. The slashing edge of the blade. They call to you. Round one, fight!
Attack! Flawless victory. Round 2. Fight! Finish him! Raven wins. Flawless victory. Sub-Zero. Choose your destiny. Round 1. Fight! Flawless victory. Round 2. Fight! Finish him! Raven wins. Flawless victory.
where I did catch. Yo, Emma, 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 where I did catch.
You're out! You're out! You're out! You're out!
Hey, check this out.
You're out!
Oh, you can't keep a good dog down.
No, sir.
No, you can't keep a good dog down. I've seen pain and hurt.
That's right.
I've eaten dirt.
That's true.
It's hard to buy, but even I've been jilted by a skirt.
He lied.
Look how I'm still around. 'Cause you can't keep a good dog down.
You can't keep a good dog down.
No, you
no,
can't.
no. You can't keep a good dog down.
I've been bought and sold.
Ain't been warm and cold.
But 10 to 1, I'll still be running rackets when I'm old.
Not in some cage in the city found. 'Cause you can't keep a good dog. Can't keep a good. I say you can't keep a good dog down.
Try this.
Careful, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that might be a watermelon.
No, Charlie, watermelons are green. This is red.
You're colorblind. You've always been colorblind.
That's true, but this is green.
It's red.
Red?
Wait a minute. Squad car stuck in the outfield. What a nightmare. Wait a minute. It's squad car by a tail. Oh, my God. Look out. What's this? It's squad car springing to the finish. What an incredible race, ladies and gentlemen. Squad car.
I was in the kitchen cooking last week Tuesday, and I heard my son Amari repeating the you word. Yeah, I was concerned, I was shocked, I was frightened. So I went in the front room to investigate what was really going on. Then to my amusement, I found out that this Peppa Pig gadget that we have bought him for his Christmas present was actually saying those words. And we are very, very upset. Amari was born with rickets, so it takes him time to develop. He's not like a normal kid. So that's why I'm really upset, because I don't want him to be learning these words. So instead of saying find the odd one out, he's saying you, odd one out. Yeah. Right, exactly. And that is it's disgusting. I can't be buying stuff for my kids and then we are learning that it is teaching them to swear or whatever. So we are very concerned.
First, we're going to be talking about the grieving from the amazing world of Gumball. This story in particular is extremely disturbing. So it starts off with the narrator Sarah watching Adult Swim really late into the morning, and then an ad comes on for a special episode of the amazing world of Gumball. The title card reveals that the episode is called The Grieving, and it was 30 minutes instead of the usual 11. The episode began with Gumball standing alone facing a corner of his dimly lit school classroom, crying and completely miserable. It was nighttime outside and nobody else was around him as he cried for a minute of the episode. After this scene, we see Gumball's father, Richard, looking even more miserable and sobs intensely while sitting on a sofa. Richard's crying gradually got worse, and it wasn't the normal cartoon crying you'd see, but instead more realistic and depressing. Eventually, the scene changed to Gumball's parents in Principal Brown's office. The principal informs them that Anais and Darwin were not present earlier that day. Their bodies had been found, and then it goes into graphic and nauseating detail to describe that. After this scene, we get an insanely creepy flashback of the police searching the wooded area outside of the school. They finally discover the horrible fate of Anais and realize that her head was found in a small box. Realistic blood covered the box completely, but Anais's head was drawn in the normal cartoonish style. After watching this scene, the narrator calls her brother and asks if he has seen this on TV as well. She finds out that only she can see the grieving, and an old rerun of a Looney Tunes short is playing on her brother's TV. Then we get back to the episode after the narrator desperately tries to turn off her TV and stop playing the episode, but nothing is working and she is forced to watch the rest. Gumball's parents were still talking to the principal, asking if Gumball was alright, seemingly unaware of the previous moments where they found out Gumball died. The police were called again, and Gumball was found in a classroom hanging by a noose. Blood covered the knife behind him, and blood covered his clothing. The episode ended with Gumball's dead body hanging in the corner, fading to black. In the credits, the narrator discovers a familiar name and messages him on Twitter. But before she can message him, she sees a few video clips after the credits of various disturbing things. I don't want to say exactly what they were because honestly it was terrible to read, but you probably don't want to know. Eventually it's found out that this episode was just a sketch of the Wattersons and Friends, something never supposed to be released, and it was made a very long time ago. But then this person who worked on the show says that there was no blood and guts in the episode, no dead bodies, and nothing really creepy. The theory is that some lunatic edited the tape, hijacked the local TV station, and got the episode to air on the narrator's local Cartoon Network station. Someone made this episode in video form, and it's pretty creepy. The next lost episode is not as well known as The Grieving, but I found this one really scary. It's an episode of Blue's Clues called No Clues. The narrator tells this story as a flashback since it happened in 2001, and he was recommended by his older sister to watch a Blue's Clues VHS. Strangely, it was a red VHS, but the back and other sides were all white. His older sister, Julie, put the VHS in the player and watched the Blue's Clues episode. It began with a weird Nick Jr. logo on the screen for 7 seconds, and then it went to the actual episode. The Blue's Clues intro started, but there was no joyful guitar music and instead depressing piano sounds. Steve says, "Hi, play with me," in a voice that didn't sound like Steve at all. Then there's static and the house door opens, revealing a man that looks nothing like Steve but still wearing the same clothes as him. Then the TV went into static and Steve was back to normal. He said, "Hello little boys and girls, we don't play Blue's Clues today, sorry." The background kid said, "Why not?" And then the screen went into a tiny burst of static, revealing a dead corpse of Blue. She was on her back, her stomach ripped open, and her intestines tied around her. The eyes were popped out of her sockets. Steve began to smile at the camera and then said, "You kids will learn about death." Soon after, there's static and a 666 can be seen if you look closely enough. Then Steve gives Mr. Salt and Mrs. Pepper juice, but they soon realize that it's actually cyanide and poison. Steve was satisfied at his murder, so he kept going. He went after Shovel and Pail, telling them that they're next. He sang Ring Around the Rosie in a creepy little girl's voice as he grabbed Pail and killed her. More static came on the TV for about a minute, and then we see Steve and Slippery Soap. Slippery is blindfolded, unaware of the terrible fate awaiting him. Steve counted to 3, then sliced him with a knife. He then turned to the screen and said that Satan was his king, that he needed to kill himself to make him happy. A rope sound came out of nowhere and the Nick logo came on. It was in the shape of a knife, with the top of it being 666 and the bottom of it saying "To Turno," which meant your turn. There were no credits and the screen became static. The final Lost cartoon episode I'm talking about is SuicideMouse.avi. This is a shorter story than the 2 others, but it's still extremely creepy. There's an episode of Mickey Mouse walking past buildings continuously as a never-ending loop. There is no catchy tune playing in the background like you would expect, and instead there is either silence or screaming depending on how far in you are. We're beginning with a lost SpongeBob episode called SpongeBob Schizophrenia. It was a tape found in Nickelodeon Studios with the writing SpongeBob Season 10 premiere episode. The episode started out in SpongeBob's house and he looks crazy. He says, "The shadows play with me," and then he laughs manically. SpongeBob takes out a cartoon pistol and kills Gary, but the body isn't shown. Then he hears a yell from Squidward telling him to shut up. SpongeBob looks straight at Squidward and says, "The shadows shall engulf you, mere mortal. Give praise to them or perish." A time card appears saying 25 past midnight. Then on screen, Squidward wakes up only to see a square shadow holding a chainsaw. SpongeBob cuts up Squidward with the saw and the blood splatters on the wall. SpongeBob comes out of Squidward's door and holds his severed head. He runs to get knives from his house, then chooses his next target. Arriving at Patrick's house, SpongeBob immediately stabs him and draws a pentagram on Patrick's floor. Then we see SpongeBob at a table with Squidward's severed head, eyeballs hanging out and brain exposed. Squidward's left eye blinks to reveal that he's somehow still alive, but slowly dying. His head begins to snap and fall apart to only show a pile of organs. SpongeBob kisses these organs, then says to Squidward's organs, "I am your Lord and Savior, Bikini Bottom. Praise me." After saying these final words, SpongeBob takes a knife and stabs himself in the heart. The episode ends immediately after the suicide. There's not a whole lot of information on where to find this lost episode, although there is a possible audio track. It lasts 10 minutes, but there's only a large static sound after 6 minutes of listening. There have been many attempts to find this lost Nickelodeon tape, but nobody has been successful. Next up is a Dragon Tales lost episode. The narrator got a strange VHS in the mail and didn't know where it came from. He was curious about it, so he put it in the VCR. At first there was a brief advertisement for Chuck E. Cheese's, and it was from the 90s, so it was clearly recorded around that time. Then we see a message saying that Dragon Tales is coming up next, and soon after, the intro of the show started. It cut to a picture of Max sitting in a yellow chair with the words Dragon Tales written above him in red. His eyes were bloodshot and tiny, and it almost looked like he needed to cry. Then the actual episode started, and we see Max and Emmy in Dragonland. Ord was sitting right behind a rock with a portable radio beside him, and he had no expression on his face. He walked without emotion around Dragonland as the sky was blood red. He gave a slick smile, then a gigantic scream erupted out of nowhere. Immediately the screen cut to a realistic picture of Ord in a bony-like state, lying dead on the ground with his eyes torn out. There's a message carved out on his head with his blood saying, "Hail Satan." Later on in the story, Cassie and Zack are seen in silence. You could only hear the breathing of these characters, but then Cassie opened her mouth in the most ear-piercing, loudest sound the narrator has heard in his life. Cassie said to the viewer, "We must pray to Satan," and the episode faded black. This was only the halfway point, however, as the nightmare continued. An organ track loops and 500 dragons keep chanting, "Cassie, Cassie, Cassie." She jumps into a nearby fire and we see Cassie's flesh burning. She looked at the viewer and said, "You did this to me," and then her skin was burnt to ashes. Many dragons began to scratch at each other and were devouring each other, pouncing on Cassie's remains. A few more deaths happened later on in this lost episode, but they were all seemingly connected to the devil. In the very final moments, a terrifying figure appeared on screen and it looked looked like Satan. He opened his mouth to let out the ear-piercing sound that was heard earlier, and this went on for a while. The narrator shut off the VCR immediately and put the tape in his garbage can, but it soon disappeared and was never seen again. The final Lost cartoon episode I'll be talking about today is an Invader Zim one called Gur's Rage. The episode started out with an intro, but there was no music to go along with it. When the intro ended, the audio came back and we see Gur eating a taco. Zim snatched the taco and shouted at Gur about how smelly human food should never be brought in their base, but Gur ignored him. His eyes turned red and evil music began to play as Gur busted open the front door and walked out without his disguise. He went to Dib's house and Dib kept going on and on about exposing Zim, but Gur came closer to the screen. Gur ignored everything Dib said and tore out his organs, then he put the organs in a taco shell. After killing Dib, he went to Professor Membrane's lab and knocked over a bunch of different machines, causing fire. Gur smashed Professor Membrane and ripped out his liver, stuffing it in the taco shell. He looked upstairs and knew exactly who his next target was. He flew over to Gaz's room, his hand turned into a buzzsaw, and then he began to slash at Gaz. She couldn't get out of her room, and so Gur dissected Gaz, slicing up her heart and putting the pieces in the taco shell. Gur went back to Zim's house, getting hold of a harpoon and shooting Zim, killing him. Gur put Zim's pieces inside the taco shell, which was finally a finished product. The episode ends as we see Gur eating the organ-filled taco with blood and guts everywhere. All that being said, let's get on to the Lost episodes. First up is a Lost cartoon episode entitled Goodbye SpongeBob. The narrator of the story said they went on YouTube to search for SpongeBob episodes, but came across one with a very weird title of Goodbye SpongeBob Lost Episode. They decided to click it, and after a few minutes the episode finally began. It started with the normal theme song that you'd expect, but the title card had an ominous feel to it. SpongeBob was watching TV when all of a sudden there was a knock on the door. Patrick walked in and claimed that Sandy had died in a plane crash because of a drunk pilot. SpongeBob laughed and treated it like a joke, but Patrick confirmed that she was actually dead. SpongeBob immediately started crying and ran to his bedroom where he could be alone with his thoughts. There's a next day time card that pops up, then we see all the main characters at a funeral. A loud static sound could be heard during the scene, so it was hard to understand exactly what the characters were saying. Then the episode cuts to a shot of Sandy's corpse as blood covers her entire body. 25 seconds of a black screen later, we see SpongeBob sitting at his desk in his house writing something down. Without Sandy in my life, I am nothing. She made me and Patrick what we are today and I'm thankful for her. But now with her dead, I just have no purpose in my life. I cannot live without Sandy. If she is dead, then I want to be dead. Goodbye, people. I am really sorry if I'm hurting anyone for doing this, but I can't just live like this without Sandy. If anyone finds this note, then I am long gone dead. Goodbye, cruel world. Complete silence fills the room as SpongeBob says farewell to everything. The scene cuts to a rope hanging from the ceiling as he brings the noose around his neck, standing up on a stool. He sighs, then kicks the stool under him. SpongeBob dies instantly and there are no more sound effects in the scene. Blood oozes out of his holes, spilling on the floor and drenching it in a dark red nightmare. Creepy images flashed onto the screen rapidly, and on the bottom was text that said, "RIP SpongeBob." According to the narrator of the story, this YouTube video was taken down shortly after viewing due to a copyright claim by Viacom. The file has never been found to this day. The next Lost episode I'll be talking about is called Dora's Real Life. The narrator is a mom who got a Dora DVD for her daughter entitled Dora the Explorer Map Adventures. Her daughter was extremely disturbed after watching this, so the mom watches it herself to see what happened. This DVD started with the Paramount logo, then it showed the Nick Jr. logo, but instead of the normal kid-friendly appearance, the orange Nick was beating up the blue Jr. mercilessly. Then the Dora theme song started and a few things were pretty different. There was an arts and crafts table saying in Spanish, "I have no one to talk to. Help me." The Dora computer game only had Dora herself, and she looked extremely depressed as she pretended to smile. After this weird theme song, we see Dora in a rusty house and she turns to the screen to enthusiastically greet the viewer. A plush monkey says, "And I'm Boots." Dora continued talking to the audience and said that she needs help to get to the big city. She used the map and walked to a troll bridge. A homeless man is seen at this bridge as he requests money from Dora. However, Dora simply calls him a grumpy old troll and asks what his riddle is. The man questions why she does this to him every day, but she ignores him and jumps over the bridge. Next up, she asks the map where the spooky forest is, leading her to polluted streets with graffiti and gang members around. Dora says, "We made it to the spooky forest." Be careful, there can be spooky bats and witches. Then a man comes up and tells Dora he's going to cut her throat, but Dora says, "Swiper, no swiping." However, after saying that, this man shoved Dora and her Boots doll. She fell as her knees were gushing with blood from scraping the concrete. After all this, Dora said in Spanish that she was so alone and she questioned if she should end it all. When she and Boots finally got to the big city, she said in a depressed voice that she made it to the big city, and the song wasn't the typical happy "we did it" song that appears in a normal episode. The screen went black, then it went to a 23 days later time card. Fading to a forest, we see on a tree that there's a decayed Dora, intestines dangled in a grotesquely real fashion. Her eyes were gouged out, her fingers were blue, and blood covered the entire tree. A note here said in Spanish, "The Lord has saved me from this horrible place by making me commit suicide. Suicide is your escape." Finally, let's talk about a Thomas the Tank Engine creepy...
I can't believe it. This is a dead body.
What do you mean? He's still alive? He just needs a little air. Let me show you.
Wait, stop.
See? Doesn't he just look happy to be alive? Don't you want to be him?
I agree with you. He is a hindrance when he is deflated.
Oh no!
Drum roll. 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 Drum roll.
Turn it down, turn it off!
OMM, that was close. Any first words, Teardrop? That's what I thought.
助けて、お願い、ここへ来て。
ハムスターのふるさと、ハムージャ王国のお姫様を救え。ハムチャンズの大冒険がまたまた始まるぜ。劇場版とっとこハム太郎。
ハムハムハムージャ、幻のプリンセス。やっぱりになると強くなるのだ。
前売り券を買うと新人ゴジハムくんがもらえるぜ。